This 1840 watt solar array has been operating on only 460 watts with unfinished wiring for 2 months. It's time to shut it down. This solar build has been a long time coming, and I didn't want to skimp on anything, so I got all the things. When I said I got all the things, I meant all the things. Surge protector device, DC breaker, inline fuses, copper cable for my copper grounding rod, and yes, of course I used a multimeter. And I had every intention of wiring all these components in that very day. But for reasons that have never been worth explaining, that's just not what happened. I'm only fully functional right now on 2 out of 8 panels. Between the age of these panels and the tilt that they're at, I should be seeing between 1,000 and 1,200 incoming watts under full sun. So tomorrow morning, I'm gonna finish what I started and see if I can fix my mistakes. It is finally time to finish this solar wiring project. So not getting it all done that first day was a pretty big disappointment, and I needed some time to recover until I was able to jump back in. And now is that time. Today I'm going to wire in my DC breaker so that I have a panel shut off. I've had the housing for it sitting here, but I have yet to wire that in. I'm also going to be wiring in a midnight solar surge protector device, and it's going to sit right on top of the breaker housing. Now that the wires for my SPD are all prepped, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the PV wires, and then I will secure my breaker into the housing. And at that point, I will officially have a panel shut off. Okay, here we go. So I'll cut this one and it will wire in into one side of my breaker, and then I'll do the same thing to the positive side. Okay, negative side is done. Time to do the positive side. All right. And then screw this one shut. That's nice and tight. I now have a panel shut off. So anytime I need to come out and work on these things, I can flip this down and shut the panels off. Step 1, done. So now the hope is that the pieces I cut off are long enough to go from the bottom of the breaker into the charge controller, and then that loop will be complete. Barely long enough. Okay, that's gonna work. These end pieces are just barely gonna reach, but they do reach. That circuit is complete. And just a safety side note, typically the charge controller has to be plugged into your batteries before plugging into solar panels. However, the panels are now shut off. It is safe to have this connection complete before the batteries are reconnected. And the next step would be to take the grounding wire connected to the SPD, the green wire, and ground that to my copper grounding rod. But because I was able to get that rod so far down in the ground, I actually need to extend this grounding cable, and I don't have the right grounding nut to connect that to the copper cable that I have. So I'll just have to pick one of those up when I head to the hardware store and just leave it as is for right now. This next part of the rewire project I'm really excited about because I'm upgrading to the Renogy Pro 12-volt inverter with GFCI AC outlets and Bluetooth connectivity, bringing every component in my solar system up to date. I only recommend things I actually use and can truly stand behind. And this inverter saves me up to 13% battery power, enough for multiple phone charges and a whole afternoon of editing videos without touching my reserve. Running my devices longer at 92% efficiency. That's a massive chunk of saved energy. It has a super low idle power at just 9.6 watts, which helps to extend battery runtime for longer than standard models. When the sun goes down or it's a rainy day and you're drawing purely from your bank, every watt matters. Renogy designed this inverter with a 45-degree tilted DIY AC terminal. You can add a wall socket wherever you need, wired directly into this inverter. It's built to deliver its full rated power safely to my most demanding tools with the exact same GFCI safety protection you'd get from a standard home outlet. It's fully UL certified and comes with a 2-year warranty, which gives you the extra peace of mind that you have chosen the right fit for your system. If you're looking to upgrade your own system or build one from scratch, check out the link in the description to see the Renogy Pro series. Thank you to Renogy for this incredible unit and for sponsoring today's video. Okay, I'm getting ready to install this 250 amp fuse between the positive bus bar and the positive terminal of the inverter inside this fuse holder. So what that will look like when it's installed, this side will be bolted to this part of the bus bar right there. And then I'll have the fuse holder here, and then this side going on up into the positive terminal of the inverter. Okay, I have my SPD and DC breaker installed, so I have a panel shutoff and the surge protector device to protect the charge controller. Got my new inverter installed with a 250 amp fuse to protect my batteries from short circuit. I have to run to the hardware store and get a grounding clamp for the SPD wire so I can get that ground. And tomorrow morning, I will come back out here, ground the SPD, use my copper cable to connect to all the panels and get those ground as well, and ground this solar system. And then I will reconnect the batteries, turn everything on, and see where we're at. I'm gonna start with grounding the SPD wire to the grounding rod, but just to make sure there's no stray voltage in that grounding wire, I'm going to check it with the multimeter. I know some of you really wanted some multimeter footage from the last video, so this one's for you. All right, the SPD wire is ground, and yet another box of hardware I've had sitting around since day one. These grounding lugs that I'm going to use to ground the copper wire to the solar panels. Too small. Okay. The existing pre-drilled holes are too small, so I'd have to make those bigger anyways. So I think I'm just gonna make my own new holes for the grounding lugs in the side of the panels here. Got about 2 inches under the glass to give me room to do that, and then that will keep my copper nice and streamlined down the array. Come on. Yes. Okay, now that I know I have to bore that hole so wide, the next 7 should go much quicker, and then I'll get the cable in. Then I'll get these darn things grounded. I'm gonna go ahead and feed the copper cable from the panels into the grounding rod now and get that ground. And then it'll be nice and secure while I'm stretching it around the panels. Okay, this is what I thought was going to happen. And that is why I picked up extra copper wire at the hardware store. So I'm going to connect these two here with a copper grounding nut, and that will complete my ground wire to hit every single panel. So it'll start over by the powerhouse, connected to the grounding rod there, wrap around these top four till it meets at the grounding nut here, and then the solid copper wire will continue the rest of the way to hit the remaining bottom panels. Good morning. Welcome to another day 3 of what was supposed to be a 2-day project. This seems to be becoming a theme in my life. Today, I'm going to swap out the MC4 wires that I made with factory-made wires. Then I will rewire the batteries. They've been fully disconnected. Plug those back into the charge controller and then power everything on. The other thing I'm going to be doing today is connecting these inline fuses on all of my positive wires. Okay, now I'm gonna hook my batteries back up. I've had these all taped up and laid out separately so nothing can touch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start one positive cable at a time, then negatives, and then I'll feed the positive side into the charge controller and then the negative. And then the batteries will be one down, re-hooked up in parallel and reconnected to the charge controller. Okay. And the batteries are reconnected in parallel. Okay, now it's time to reconnect the batteries to the charge controller. Okay, power back to the charge controller. Now this is showing us that this DC breaker is doing its job. The panels are fully under load right now, under the full sun, and it's showing 0 watts, 0 volts coming in from the panels. So that means that this breaker is wired properly and doing its job. Before I flip that DC breaker on, I'm gonna give you guys another multimeter moment. And I'm gonna check for open circuit and for polarity just to make sure that I didn't cross anything. Okay, that looked good. No wires crossed. Why is it every time I go to flip this thing on, there's a giant cloud that comes to hover right above me? Well, I'm gonna flip the DC breaker on, clouds or no clouds. Here I go. Okay, there it goes. Looks like full sun. Let's see what we got. Okay, 800 watts is the highest read I've gotten since putting this all together. Replacing those handmade MC4 connections with the factory-made ones doubled my incoming wattage. The other MC4 repairs that I made without MC4 tools are faulty. I already knew this. So the next thing I have to do is use the proper MC4 tools to repair those MC4 connections. They had been cut off of 2 of my panels previously. When I repaired them without MC4 tools, I didn't get a proper connection. So what I'm going to do is shut everything back off, cover the panels I'll be working on, and use the proper MC4 tools. Yeah, this just came right apart, to repair those cut wires. Now that's what the connection should look like. Again, I could just pull that right off. So just further confirmation that these repairs did nothing without the proper tools. Okay, I'm gonna go turn everything back on and see what watts we're pulling in. This is the moment of truth. I did it. I did it. Bringing this system from a total of 460 incoming watts to a consistent 1100 incoming watts, meaning everything is fixed, everything is safe and protected. This is something I don't have to worry about anymore. I now have an incredible, fully functioning, fully protected solar system. All right, well, I'm gonna plug my life back in and take my dogs for a walk and just ride the rest of the day on this feeling of success. This whole project has been a reminder to trust myself. And as I sit here in the sun, eating lunch next to my self-built solar array, looking over my freshly planted garden, I realize that self-reliance isn't about never making mistakes. It's just about trusting yourself to go back and correct them. See y'all later.